I think the governor's executive order was right on time. Illinois continues to fail at passing a truly balanced budget year after year when we've seen, a $55 billion budget this fiscal year, the highest in the state's history. We know that the truth is that budget cuts need to happen.
It's Regan Deering, a Republican state representative from Decatur, joining another Republican, Amy Ellick from Alton, late last week, criticizing Governor J.B. Pritzker's handling of your tax dollars in the annual budget. This is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Wake up with us each and every weekday morning here with The Center Square. Get headlines in your inbox by going to thecentersquare.com, clicking newsletter, and registering. It's free. We're a free newswire service, and you can also donate to us at thecentersquare.com. But you can wake up with us here each and every weekday morning, back after a week off. Greatly appreciate you guys and your patience and coming back and checking us out as we go back live to cover what's going on in the land of Lincoln. So if you have followed the Center Square and you've watched this show, you recall that sometime last month, Governor J.B. Pritzker issued an executive order. But the executive order saying we need to find budget cuts, blaming the Trump administration for those needs for budget cuts. The day before that, the Center Square's investigative team published a report about how much spending has increased in the state of Illinois under Governor J.B. Pritzker. 40+%, $16 billion since 2019, and we're spending a record amount of money. Legislature passed some tax increases in May to fund the budget that started July 1st, rather. So the calendar year for the budget year for Illinois is not the calendar year. It starts July 1st. That's why at the end of May, it's always a mad dash to get that budget completed before May 31st. But regardless, budget highest spending plan in state history, includes tax increases and a whole host of other things. You've got Republicans who were critical then and now, even after weeks of the governor having this executive order saying, hey, state agencies, because of the Trump administration, we need to cut the budget. They really haven't seen much when it comes to transparency on how that executive order is being implemented. Here is Amy Ellick.
A month ago, Governor Pritzker signed Executive Order 2025-05, which directed his agencies to identify immediate spending reductions in an effort to blame Trump for his agency's overspending. As a CPA and spokesperson for the General Services Appropriations Committee, I was very much looking forward to seeing where Governor Pritzker's agencies identified inefficiencies and excessive spending, and hoped that maybe this executive order would create a slightly more efficient government. That proved to be wishful thinking. We're not getting any information whatsoever from agencies about where they plan to cut. Because we had not heard any results from this executive order.
And you've got Ellick saying that transparency is needed.
Illinoisans deserve transparency and accountability. Their government should be transparent about the work they are doing for them, not hiding behind political theater and press releases. House Republicans' message is simple: respect taxpayers and live within our means. It's time for Governor Pritzker to stop using his office to campaign for president and get our house in order.
Regan Deering, a Republican from Decatur, joining Ellick in this news conference late last week, saying that the budget cuts need to happen. Illinoisans can't afford Illinois government spending at the levels it continues to increase spending.
Instead of eyeing a bid for higher office, Governor Pritzker needs to do the job he was elected to do here in Illinois. We're ranked at the top of almost every tax list that's published. In March, a Wallet Hub study reported that Illinoisans pay the highest combined taxes of any other state in the nation, coming to more than 16.5% of our incomes spent on taxes annually. And for what? To fund shortfalls in Chicago, pay raises for legislators, to give illegal aliens top-of-the-line benefits. It's simply shameful that our governor gets away with smoke and mirror tactics, dangling executive orders like this in the face of Illinoisans and then taking it back when he knows he can't deliver. The people of Illinois who haven't left or been pushed out are fed up, and so am I. We can do better, we can do more, and we can do right by the people of Illinois. Simply put, enough is enough.
Now, Governor J.B. Pritzker late last week asked about the government shutdown, SNAP being reinstituted after the government reopened, with Senator Dick Durbin voting to reopen the government, joining several other Democrats breaking away from the party in the U.S. Senate to reopen the federal government. And Pritzker, obviously says he disagreed with the senior senator from Illinois, but he also took an opportunity to criticize the Trump administration.
Well, we're up, this is all moved fairly quickly, so we're all moving as quickly as we can at the state level, knowing that funds will flow or are flowing. And then, we had to make major adjustments in SNAP to try to meet the various levels of SNAP funding allowed by the courts. Right, originally it was 0, went to 50%, 65%, back to 50%, though some people weren't going to get any at all. Now we're back to 100%. So we're working as fast as we can to make sure that people have their SNAP cards charged and ready to go.
And then the governor was asked about politics and the Trump administration, and you listen to these responses in the context of what you heard some of the Republicans from the state house saying, criticizing the governor for trying to run for president in 2028.
Well, when Donald Trump doesn't want to give people health care and is willing to take away people's food in order to force people to take less health care or pay higher premiums, that's going to cause Democrats and Republicans apparently not to be able to get along and not to be able to get the things that average Americans want. What I am so upset about is that Donald Trump was fine with people not being able to travel, people not being able to get their food. He is fine with taking away health care from people. And yeah, if you want to see division in a country, stop feeding people, stop giving them health care. And so it's Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans that have done this to this country. I'm hopeful that there will be reasonable minds that will come together and that we will be able to move past January, the end of January, which is now when the CR goes to, and not have to have any more shutdowns. But this is on Donald Trump. Remember, MAGA Republicans control the House, the Senate, the presidency, and the Supreme Court. So who's in charge? It's the Republicans. When things aren't going well in this country, it's the people in charge that you ought to look to, and it's Donald Trump that's leading them.
But what about things in Illinois, right? I mean, if Illinois is bringing in record revenues, are they able to spend those properly, or are they going to have to find budget cuts, for instance? Again, back to State Representative Regan Deering noting that the governor announcing budget cuts, even though they haven't seen any transparent examples of how that's being done within state agencies after the executive order was signed, they say it's an indication that the budget's not balanced.
I think the governor's executive order was right on time. Illinois continues to fail at passing a truly balanced budget year after year. When we've seen, a $55 billion budget this fiscal year, the highest in the state's history, we know that the truth is that budget cuts need to happen, and they need to happen in real time and all the time. We're seeing federal dollars that are no longer going to flow to Illinois based on some of our policy choices. And so as a state, we're going to need to build up those rainy day funds, those backup plans for when we are going to have to fill in some of those gaps. So I think that that's a process that we're asking our families and our taxpayers to do all year long as well. So certainly when we as a governing body are managing taxpayers' money, there's always an opportunity to look for cuts.
And you've got, again, the back and forth here, right? About the government shutdown, and could we see another one come sometime in January with the federal government, right? And how that could impact the state of Illinois, let alone the state of Illinois having policies that don't conform with the Trump administration's policies. And that could lead to a loss of federal funding coming to Illinois, federal tax dollars, your tax dollars coming back to the state of Illinois. But Pritzker blaming it on Republicans when, again, in the U.S. Senate, they needed that 60 vote threshold to be met, which required some Democrats to come on board with Republicans. And Trump was talking about how he wanted to end the filibuster. And you can obviously track that at thecentersquare.com with stories. But one thing that happened during fall veto session, which we covered here, and you woke up with us each every weekday morning after fall veto session to get the latest of what was going on at the Illinois State House here with Illinois in Focus. But one thing they did do is they decoupled the state tax code
this is
from
all
the
moved
federal
fairly quick.
tax code, right? And what that means is the tax credits and things that manufacturers can get under the federal tax code for losses or depreciation, things like that. It's not going to match up with the state's policies on those are not going to match up with the federal policies. And that's led some concern that's going to mean Illinois is going to be less competitive. Here's State Representative Regan Deering and Amy Ellick talking about that prospect.
Here, anytime we decouple, we become an outlier. We become the state that is immediately known for not being friendly to business, and we can just expect that companies will be looking elsewhere. Frankly, it happens already in Illinois, and we just unfortunately keep giving businesses reason to invest elsewhere.
Yeah, I would simply add on, Illinois' taxing levels are so high already. I think we're the third highest corporate tax in the nation. And so, while Democrats are making us an outlier, as Representative Ellick said, it just feels like one more fight they're picking against the Trump administration instead of prioritizing our families and our small businesses here. Large manufacturers are, of course, going to see raises. And overall, I think we're looking at $200 million plus that will be put on the backs of our Illinois families and businesses.
So how's all this going to shake out, and how are you, the taxpayer, going to be impacted? Wake up with us to continue on as we unpack all of this and more with the Center Square. Go to thecentersquare.com and get the newsletter and wake up with us here for Illinois in Focus Daily.